Hello, I am Cemre. I am talking about Louis Vuitton Summarize. Louis Vuitton was an international brand mostly famous for its networks, leather bags and trunks. The firm was established in France in 1854 by Louis Vuitton and became known as one of the oldest French luxury fashion houses. Vuitton focused on constant improvement of quality and lifetime repair for its customers. The brand has been striving to increase both fidelity and endless desire in its customers. The company culture and employed famous models and actresses such as Jennifer Lopez and Madonna in its magazines to reach out to higher income group.
Quality had always been a key factor for the successful brands in the Japanese markets. For instance, in 2006, Japan represented the biggest market and one of the huge markets for the luxury brands, such as Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Burberry. It was the world's most concentrated source of revenue and represented a mass market for luxury brands. But later on, Japan faced a sustained slowdown in the demand of these luxury goods that was due to the slow in the economy and the increase in the Japanese yen. These foreign luxury brands had no choice but to decrease their prices. For instance, Louis Vuitton had to decrease its prices for 7% on some selected items such as shoes, wallets, and jewelry. And we can gather from this that the exchange rate fluctuation determines manufacturing cost and quality. In 2002, the global economy faced a slowdown that was in response for the US September 11th terrorist attack that led to a decline in the sales and the tourist flow. So at that time, Louis Vuitton recognized that it had to focus on local consumers rather than tourists. So therefore, Louis Vuitton had established a collaboration with the Chinese artist, and they have formed a monogram of 33 colors with a background of white and black. These Louis Vuitton handbags with the smelling blossom design turned into a huge seller, not only in Japan but also have been accepted in the American and the European markets. The brand realized that for the past years it had been setting the trend as a brand leader, but that the guarantee of the future growth The brand has realized that the past years it had been setting the trend as a brand leader, but the guarantee of the future growth would depend on adapting and understanding the local customers. And to do so, the company tried to adjust an approach and products to reach the local customers. That was a revelation came from the Japanese market. Louis Vuitton was the first brand to open shops in Japan without the contribution of any Japanese distributor. Actually, this strategy was commercially and economically effective and efficient, but later on with the years, after there was a reduction in the sales of these luxury and high quality brands, Louis Vuitton has decided that the new CEO of the company should be a Japanese, as they understood the local people more, and they believed that the new manager has an efficient market-driven decisions because they are Japanese and they understood the local people there. Characteristics of the evaluation of the aging Japanese population, such as wealthier families and older women with the increased purchasing power, represented a new perspectives for the future of the Japanese luxury market. So one of the challenges that Louis Vuitton faced is the entry of foreign and smaller brands, which is considered as a threat because these brands are offering a high quality at a competitive prices. So Louis Vuitton has expanded their business and started selling leather goods, jewelry, and eyewear. They also built an internet business line for children and they're ready to wear, which is considered as a category to growth. All of this has had made a connection between Louis Vuitton and their consumers, and also gave Louis Vuitton a high quality, and the value. So, Louis Vuitton marketing strategy had been one of the key points of its huge success in the Japanese markets. So the brand now is expanding more and more, and is looking for opening a new shops in mid-sized and smaller cities.
Guys, my name is Marzia Dossul, and I'm going to talk about how the cultural, social, and personal characteristics of a society or the people affect a brand and its sales. That's basically the consumer behavior having an impact on this. So here I'd say that young women in Japan, they were extremely beauty conscious. The proportion of the urban Japanese who owned a famous or expensive luxury brand item was immense, which reflected a tendency not as deeply present in other developed cities. Like if you look at London, New York, or mainly like if you look at places in the US, it was not, the tendency of owning a luxury item was not as much as it was over here. Japanese people, they were called impersonal because they were used to spending more time out of their houses, which does have an impact as well. Like if someone is spending more time out of their house, they need more time to dress up. They want to dress up more. They want to look more presentable. So owning luxurious high-end brands was a compulsory for the people in Japan in order to match their society and fit into it. So here I'd say that although Japanese women were very eager to save money for it brands, which was like Louis Vuitton, Chanel, those brands, they really wanted to save money for it and they really wanted to have that stuff, but they just started valuing their money more. They started having more value for the money they had. The lower price accessories and small leather items reported a huge increase in sales in the recent past. Since 2000, luxury goods had held a different position in the consumer mindset. As the market had evolved towards more sophistication, luxury brands were no longer purchased as badges of membership into the new urban class. This would have had a huge impact on the sales of LV in Japan, obviously, and the consumer demand for it, because the way people were thinking, their personal mindset, the society in general, it was changing, right? So it wasn't very important for someone to hold a monogram or hold a statement bag from a certain place just to fit into their society, right? So because of this change, the consumer behavior and the consumer demand for LV was reducing and decreasing in Japan. Okay, so this brings us into the need for smaller accessories such as wallets, belts. LV started to make low-priced items and they started to increase their collection to low-priced goods, because by doing this, what they were basically doing is that they were attracting more people to buy their products with the same quality, but because those products were smaller, they were not priced at such high prices. And then they also started taking steps to opening stores in mid-sized cities where the LV brand was not well known, but because now they had products which were slightly lower priced and smaller products, they wanted their recognition all over the place, so that would increase and boost their sales. So we do know Japan is a country with a lot of societal values and a lot of culture, and we do know that LV tried to blend into the culture of Japan to increase its sales there. So there was Jacobs. Ever since he was designated as the artistic designer of the brand, LV had successfully entered the Japanese ready-to-wear market. And then they took help from a Japanese artist to recreate the monogram of LV in 33 different colors. And they did that on a black and white background. Because of this, LV's bags were literally all over the place and there were huge sales in Japan. And the success was not only visible in Japan, but the Japanese culture, what they put into their designs, was also appreciated in the European and American markets. So that was a plus point for LV because they blended a culture into their business. That was a good strategy as well, and that culture did not only get them profits and recognition in that country, but it was so nice that it was all over the place basically. Okay, now I'm going to talk about something which is also very popular in Turkey, which is counterfeiting. So here we do see that, you know, wherever we go, almost everyone owns something from a luxury brand, but it's not actually authentic. It's a fake copy of what it is. But in Turkey also, the quality is so good, which I've noticed here, that you cannot tell the difference. So basically, that's what happened in Japan. Eventually, people stopped revolving around the whole idea of owning a bag, every single bag that came out from LV. They just thought that, okay, we're gonna keep one bag or two bags, and like those are gonna be our staple bags which you're gonna take to big events like big weddings, big dinners, things like that. And then for the rest of the day, because they still wanted to own a brand and quality was a problem, and now from South Korea and other places there was good quality coming in, they were like, okay, we're gonna buy a fake bag and we can carry it for our daily basis. This definitely reduced the sales for LV because the consumer preference mindset was changing, the thinking of the society again was changing. They really started going away from the staple brands. So this is the summary of my answer, and I would just say, I'd say that again, that every country's culture, society, and psychology and personal beliefs affect the consumer market. That's what, like, for a brand to be successful, they need to know what their consumers want. That's how it works. They need to monitor their consumer behavior. So for LV, their success in Japan was because their standards, their brand standards, matched the standards of the Japanese society. It met the needs of the Japanese society and for the time being. And the psychological mindset of the people promoted it, okay? And they needed to own luxurious things from luxurious brands. And I also think that LV's idea of mixing the Japanese culture was a great factor for their success. Thank you so much.